52 and 52. Gul'dan just murdering.
Hey, buddy, watch this.
Well, I'm back with another Mercenaries build, and this is one of the cooler builds I've actually played in Mercenaries so far. It's all about GRUUL, who initially people thought was just going to be like this weird meme dragon tech merc, but instead does something cool in this deck because he summons an orc. And Saurfang also summons an orc. And those orcs are great because there are some orc synergies with Saurfang himself and Gul'dan, but also minion summons in this deck fuel some crazy follow-ups off of Sylvanas and Gul'dan, who both have effects that scale with unit deaths. So this deck is all about summoning a bunch of orcs, trying to use those orcs as orcs, and then also once they die, you have these kind of crazy combo pop-offs that are possible as well. So let's take a look at each of these characters more closely. So I want to kick it off with Gul'dan here because I think he's kind of the most important thanks to Staff of Chaos. This equipment gives him passive +4 fell damage when an orc dies. So you'll note we have a couple orcs in the build already, but GRUUL and Saurfang both summon orcs. So in many cases, you might have 4+ orcs dying, which is basically going to double your 2 abilities here on the left. Rain of Destruction you can also use alongside Jaraxxus Fel abilities to get some really big damage. Jaraxxus also benefits off the passive spell damage as well. So between the two, if you've got a bunch of orc deaths, Jaraxxus and Gul'dan can just blow teams up. And then you've also got Sylvanas here with Reclaimed Souls. She gains 5 attack for each character that died this game. So basically, you might have 5 characters die because all these orcs in your first round of Mercenaries. So her attack can get huge. I've gotten her attack to 40 already. And that's nuts, of course, because she has these attack-based abilities like Banshee Bolt, but also Death Volley, her equipment. She deals her attack to all enemies when she dies, so she can basically wipe out an entire enemy team or something with 40 attack. Now, when it comes to the summoners here, we've got our good buddy GRUUL with Dragon Maw Poacher, who is an orc, obviously, which is important, but also just a nice 15/15. If your opponent does happen to have dragons, GRUUL is just insane. Otherwise, he's really just about summoning these orcs, and he's a good stat body, too. Like, he's got really nice stats compared to other mercenaries, so sometimes you can just beat up on fighters. We've also got Saurfang here, who summons the Blade Hand Berserker, who's an orc, and can also scale with pretty crazy attack. Particularly with Whirlwind here, enabling it if you think you can set that up. It's nuts. I haven't gotten super greedy with that yet. Sometimes just mobilizing Strike is enough. It's a good attack and also buffs your other orcs like Rokara or summons. And then Serrated Shield's given Saurfang a bunch of stats passively as well. He just becomes enormous. Rokara is your next orc, and she's got a nice passive health buff here off Ancestral Armor. She's got some attack-based buffs. She's got an orc synergy card here as well. If you have a bunch of orcs on board, this can go crazy. Kind of hard sometimes because it's slow. Your orcs might die, but still some potential there. And then finally, Jaraxxus just sort of fills in the gaps here with some fell damage synergies. You can also put him in early as a summon to fuel your Sylvanas. This is a demon, so it's not as good with Gul'dan, but still technically a summon there. And also just some big old fell damage output as well. So just kind of synergizes with Gul'dan in a crossway, and also becomes another protector for this build, which is nice to have. And Fel Core is the reason this has so much fell damage, giving it an additional +3. So altogether, pretty cool comp. Let's go ahead and see it in action. All right, here we go. Now this is going to be interesting. We have a very protector-heavy opponent here, and we only have 1 caster. So it's going to be hard to deal damage to all these different protectors, but we're still going to stick to our game plan here, which is an orc first opener. So essentially that's going to be GRUUL, who summons orcs, Saurfang, who summons orcs and is an orc, and Rokara, who is an orc and has some orc synergy plays. Essentially, we want to save Gul'dan and Sylvanas for later because they're sort of our follow-ups. They're our bench powerhouses, and these cards will essentially enable those. Now, the cool thing is, even though these might be hard counters for us in some ways, we still have big stat totals, so we might just be able to overcome them. Also, our opponent is a dragon, which helps. So we have some awesome dragon synergies here for GRUUL. And in fact, we can open up against this Gruul. I think, unfortunately, though, Saurfang and Rokara probably won't sufficiently kill Bright or Blink Fox, excuse me. They just won't have quite enough damage output. We're looking at basically 30 and 30, which is only 60, and Gruul, unfortunately, will only be dealing another 15 with either ability. So, yeah, we can't quite kill the Blink Fox unless some damage stuff rolls our way. So, basically, if Gruul takes damage or if somebody takes damage so that Saurfang's buff works, we might be able to snipe this Blink Fox. So, we'll try, because if their attacks resolve first and you know, somebody takes damage, we're going to be in a better spot. Looks like Saurfang's taking all the damage, but I think that might still buff him up. I don't know if it's after or when. No, it's after. So, fortunately, yeah, we couldn't secure the kill. And Saurfang's dead. Wow. I can't really in good conscience put Gul'dan in yet, so we'll just stick in Jaraxxus. This is a really tough opener because we couldn't kill the Blink Fox, and we lost an Orc summon as well, which is really good for Gul'dan later. That said, this is going to be a nuts Dragon Maw Poacher because our opponent has a dragon, so that's a really nice upside. We could also potentially go for Offensive Rally here to buff that that particular unit, but I think we'll just do Orc Onslaught, or maybe we should go for the guaranteed kill here. Unfortunately, the rush means this guy might hit the Blink Fox. It's not inherently bad, but just maybe a little awkward. And we'll summon another minion here as well to empower our Sylvanas. But we're going to need to get through these protectors before that becomes really compelling. That said, this 30-30 is really nice. Really, really nice. So, okay. Fight's going all right. Everybody's alive. Oblivion indeed. So, we don't need to reposition here really or anything that I can see, so let's just hang tight. They're probably going to put in another protector, honestly, which, yeah. I was hoping they put in a fighter because we're a little better against fighters, but it's all right. Okay, so still some dragon action, so we can get some pretty big damage against Alexstrasza here kind of for free. We can attack here as well. That's going to deal 60 to Alex. We also want to make sure we're in a position to kill Lich King if we can. Offensive Rally is probably not as good for us here. Let's just go ahead and attack. This will secure the kill on the Alex. With a little bit of excess, though. But I don't... Yeah, let's actually hit Lich King here because probably right between Jaraxxus and this attack, we should be able to kill both of these characters. That said, Malfurion could be healing a little depending on his AoE. He doesn't have the passive heal, thankfully. Oh, that's one off. Shoot, that's bad math for us. Dang. Hopefully, Jaraxxus death blow here will... Oh my gosh, it's one off again. No, that's bad. Shoot, that's bad. Okay, we'll put Sylvanas in. No, she's too weak. We got to put Gul'dan in while these fighters are out. Man, that is some really bad rolls. You know, if we were better and paying attention and really calculating this out, we could have done that math. It's kind of hard to guess, right? Because you don't know who they're going to attack and what their return damage is going to be. So it's just bad luck sometimes, right? You could try to guess it. But anyway, get another free 30-30 here. That's sort of nuts. Let's kill off our dudes. We could go for additional fell damage, or we could just go for another Legion Burst. Let's just get another minion summon, actually. We still have Sylvanas on the bench, who's kind of nuts. Oh, though, if I go for a spell, a fell spell, I can get better. Yeah, I can get better Rain of Destruction here, because I'll get additional procs for each fell ability I've cast this turn. So Gul'dan's got 8 extra spell damage, as does Jaraxxus, thanks to the Orc deaths. If this guy dies, we'll actually get even more. Or this guy, but he's unlikely to die. There you go. We get extra passive spell damage. Really nice. 26. 52 and 52 because they were both protectors. That bonus, so those were each 26. That's crazy. Gul'dan just murdering, and it's 104 damage ability, which if you've been watching any of my videos, you'll know is the highest we've probably done so far. So absolutely bonkers. Here we can just go now and start cleaning people up to the best of our ability, and we'll go ahead and for the 32 damage Fel Bolt, which is going to go to 64 against Kurtrus, which is absolutely bonkers. Oh, GRUUL did die, but that's okay. Might not have lethals here. Oh, wow. Take it back, 72. Jaraxxus went off twice because of the death blow. That was bonkers. Crazy, crazy burst there. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if we can get Sylvanas off this game. Looking at our enemy team, slightly biased here towards fighters, which is fine. We don't have a lot of casters, so no weaknesses to fighters. Our fighters are fine against fighters, and our protectors are pretty good against fighters. So let's open with our orc salvo here to start. Get all this fuel going, as we like to do. Fighter, fighter. Caster. Okay, so that caster gives us a great target here for our fighters. As we've seen before, oh, this is a dragon too. Brightwing about to get murdered because our GRUUL attack here is suddenly going to deal 30 instead of 15. Then we have Saurfang, of course, who's going to deal double damage, and Rokara, who's going to deal double damage. And as we found out, these two attacking on their own isn't quite enough to kill most characters, so the extra damage from GRUUL here will almost certainly ensure that we get there on this damage output. It's going to be a little excessive, if anything, but that's fine. We want to make sure we get those lethals secured. And it's kind of cool because it's like GRUUL got critical damage, even though he was fighting the wrong role, because Brightwing was a dragon, even if she was not a fighter. So now GRUUL still has some fighter targets as well. Speaking of which, Sylvanas is really scary. That is the sort of character we want to get rid of ASAP. But I think we'll just still go for our summons, kind of stick to our game plan here. So get the 15-15, get the Blade Hand Berserker down. Rokara, we're not really attacking much this turn, but we are potentially going to have a lot of orcs that survive. So let's go for Orc Onslaught here. And I guess we'll go against the lowest health character in this case. Sylvanas is scary, but she's kind of hard to kill. We might actually be able to secure lethal against Tyrion, especially if the rush minion hits it. Or if he took a lot of return damage. Unfortunately, in this case, he didn't because of the debuff he utilized here, but still oh my god, big damage from Rokara. The orc synergies just going crazy there. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish off Tyrion. He doesn't have a death rattle or anything, so that's nice. And then I guess we'll start whacking through Mutanus here, even though Sylvanas is a tad scarier, but he's lower health. That said, man, we have so much damage output. Surely we can still get through Sylvanas, right? We could go Whirlwind to make Blade Hand huge. It's also just kind of a lot of damage, but we also get big buffs potentially off Mobilizing Strike to make Rokara even more frightening. Also, if we go for a lot of attack synergies, we can get a Rokara buff train going as well, which is pretty cool. So let's do that. Let's just basically use everybody's attacks and then use Rokara Offensive Rally to buff people like crazy. She's going to be buffing everybody for a bunch here. So we might actually keep some of our minions alive. A 5-10 buff is nuts, as you can see. Okay, sadly that big attack got hit on the Divine Shield. That's not perfect. Oh, also these attacks are murdering me. Oh, shoot. That Sylvanas ability is brutal. All right, let's stick in Jaraxxus here because he's a good counter. And Sylvanas, because Gul'dan's really weak against these three fighters, right? So that round actually went pretty bad because of Sylvanas' ability. I do know that ability. We probably could have considered playing around that. And that's why I said, like, Sylvanas is more threatening, so there's some incentive to rush her down. But at the same time, everybody else had lower health totals. That said, now everybody's got these enormous health totals, but thankfully Jaraxxus here doesn't have to attack, so we can snipe that without taking the return damage. This guy we don't mind kind of sacrificing. Rokara is not really going to be great from an orc standpoint because these are probably going to die. So now we've got Sylvanas. We could do the same deal here with for the queen. She is going faster than Jaraxxus, but slower than this guy. So maybe I could have this guy attack Sylvanas. Yeah, actually, this is probably better. Attack Sylvanas here. We'll use for the queen here because this... Oh, but what'll happen is Tyrion will kill Mutanus and Sylvanas won't attack. I think it might go in order. We need to use this against Sylvanas. Okay, this might actually still be a full wipe here, assuming, you know, return damage and stuff lines up for us. Let's see. Tyrion attacks first. Yeah, Sylvanas unfortunately does not proc there. And since Rokara got debuffed, we didn't quite kill their Sylvanas, but that's okay. We're still in a great position here because we're basically ahead on bench and kind of ahead on board even, despite them playing 2 fresh units, because basically Sylvanas and Jaraxxus are still fresh themselves. Okay, so Sylvanas, I think we'll just use a buff here to make her really crazy. Honestly, just because I think we're far enough ahead that I can just see it, and seeing it sounds really fun. Let's summon a Fel Eternal. I think this attack here, just to clean up Sylvanas, is fine, and we'll also just use Rokara here to deal some big damage against the caster with her base attack, basically, and should be good to go. The attack speed on that orc is so fast, it's great, because you basically get that big damage output quick as possible. It's really nice. Orc dying, that's actually good. It's gonna make Sylvanas and Rokara dying, both are gonna make Sylvanas' buff even better. She's at 40 attack. Oh my god, that's so sick. And now Gul'dan's coming down too, and he's gonna have ridiculous passive spell damage. Yeah, he's got 16 spell damage, and Sylvanas has 40 attack, and you're seeing exactly what this is all about. So now Jaraxxus is dealing 30 damage off his effect. Sylvanas is dealing 40 damage. It would be 80 if it doubled. And Gul'dan is dealing 36, which is going to get doubled to 72 damage. And you can see why the follow-up on this deck, when it works, is just so obscene. It's just crazy. 40 base. That's wild. 72. Millhouse does unfortunately survive here because Jaraxxus died, but that's okay. So we could gain the attack again. Of course, you don't need to. This is clearly going to be a sufficient lethal scenario here. So let's just go ahead and clean this up. But you can see if you wanted to keep Sylvanas alive long enough, or just guarantee she blows up the entire enemy team with her death rattle, you certainly could. You really could. All right, so that was the GRUUL orc deck in action. I think you got to see a lot of the cool stuff. This is a fun deck because it's kind of backwards, right? Like your opening team's a little weaker, and your back line is just nuts, right? You got all this crazy pop-off synergies with Sylvanas and Gul'dan. And this is a combo I've seen people using like Murloc summons as well. I think the orcs fit really nicely because Gul'dan, his third ability actually does buff orcs and demons, which might be nice in a pinch sometimes. Plus, the orc stuff just plays really well with Rokara and Saurfang as well, and those are pretty powerful support cards. So, all in all, really nice synergistic list. May not be hyper competitive, who knows, but could certainly be a lot of fun in PvE and a great start in PvP as well. So, check this one out. Let me know what you think. That said, thanks so much as always for watching. Stay tuned for a couple more build videos here for Mercenaries from my early access experience. And until next time, game on.